guys, welcome back to my channel and another video here. Today I had the idea of just chatting with you guys about some of the more rare nail polishes out there, and this is not going to be like a definitive list. This is just stuff that in the many years of collecting I have come across and learned about in my just collecting journey. I hate saying journey. It's not a journey, but I don't know what else to call it. Before we hop into that though, earring check. Look at these little Tamagotchis. How precious. I watched like an hour plus long video the other day about like the entire history of every Tamagotchi that ever existed. And then that prompted me to pull out all the Tamagotchis that I own, because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Tamagotchis, and I remember getting a Gigapet from my grandma when I was a kid. It was a dinosaur though, so that was cool. But I obviously haven't opened this one yet. And then I bought this blue one when I lived in Japan. This one was still in like the original packaging when I bought it, because this is from Gen 1, just in case anyone cares. This one I bought when I worked at Hot Topic. This is like a mini version of Gen 1, and then this one's just a big guy. So I was thinking about just restarting all 4 of them at once and having 4 Tamagotchi children that annoy me until I can't handle it anymore. But I don't know. I just was getting really obsessed with that for video essays. Suck me in. Don't know why. I love documentaries, so maybe that's kind of, it falls in the same. But I just thought these were precious. I have these in purple, and then I also have like a black and white one. So back to nail polish. So yeah, we're talking about some of the rarest nail polishes that I'm aware of. If you guys know of any, obviously feel free to share that in the comments, because I think this is a really interesting topic. And actually, the concept of rare nail polish is what got me into nail polish in the first place. Because I had never been a big nail polish person outside of like, I would wear just black nail polish, whatever I could get at the drugstore. And then I worked at this museum and we had a lot of downtime. So there was a girl who she would always bring in magazines, and I was flipping through like a Cosmo or something like that. And it was talking about how Essie was bringing back an old discontinued nail polish. And then I was like, wait, what's going on here? And I started looking into it, and there's like rare polishes and, you know, really sought after stuff. So that will be on this list. But a lot of these polishes are rare and expensive, but it being rare doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be expensive. So this isn't like a list of the most expensive nail polishes. I do have one on there I just wanted to talk about because I found it in my research, but this is specifically polishes that are like rare and sought after, and the price ranges are all different. So I'm going to share with you some of that information that I found as well. And I have 3 of the polishes on this list, and it wasn't even intentional that I had them. It just so happened to be that I fumbled them into my collection somehow. So I will talk to you guys about those as well. So first of all, like when I hear the word rare nail polish, I think my mind and a lot of people's minds go straight to Clarins 230, I believe it is. Yeah, 230. This one is not one that has ever appealed to me personally, where I'm like, I gotta have that for my collection. But in the grand scope of nail polish history, I think it's the most important one to start with, because this has what is called OG-UP in it, which if you don't know what that is, UP is, it's a unicorn P, which I hate that we call it that. Don't love that. Rob, whenever I talk about it, he's like, oh, is that the piss stuff? And I'm like, why do you gotta make this worse? Why do you gotta make it worse than what it is? But it's like a type of shimmer pigment that just looks really cool, I guess. You know, it's not like, I don't see necessarily the difference between that and just like a lot of other shimmers that are currently on the market. But maybe when this was a big deal at the time, maybe you couldn't get it. You know, like I said, I don't know like the definitive history of everything. And a lot of this stuff isn't like super well documented outside of like some people's personal nail blogs. And those are harder and harder to find these days. So all of this is information that's just coming straight out of my dome. So if I get something wrong, let me know down in the comments for sure. Like, I don't want to spread misinformation about nail polish, you know. God forbid. But from what I know about this pigment, it is no longer available on the mainstream market. I think that, like, I don't know if it's like the government or something bought the licensing or rights, or however you would say, to this specific pigment, and they use it in probably currency from what I can recall, and they don't want that kind of stuff available to the mass market for, counterfeiting reasons, I believe, if I can recall correctly. So anything that has OGUP in it that was like mass manufactured obviously had to be discontinued or reformulated. And now when you see polishes that have it in it, it's like, especially so many years out from when it was discontinued, for me it's kind of hard to believe that like it's real. I'm like, is it actually? I'm a little bit skeptical, a little bit suspicious, but there are people who still hoarded it, held on to it, and that's why anything that claims to have OGUP in it is incredibly expensive now. But Clarins 230 seems to be the one that is like the one that's known for this pigment. And this polish, I remember finding out about because Simply Nailogical had talked about it on her channel many, many years ago. Her partner not at the time, they're still together, but her partner Ben, I guess, had purchased her one online, and this is not a cheap polish to buy. And obviously, as the years go on, they're getting harder and harder to find. But in my really educated research of searching the item on eBay, I did find one that had recently-ish sold for $250 for this bottle. And the bottle had a fill line, like you could see a visible fill line. And somebody paid $250 for this polish. So not only is this an incredibly rare polish, but it is also very expensive for what it is, in my opinion. Obviously, when it comes to collecting in the collector world, it doesn't matter what you're collecting, whether it's nail polish or some kind of memorabilia. This stuff is only worth what you and I are willing to pay for it. So maybe if someone unlocks a mine full of OGUP, the prices will go down. Who knows? But this is like, when I think of a rare nail polish, this is the one that's just like, that's the one. It's like the first one in my head, so it had to be the first one on a list. The second one I put on my list was Sally Hansen's Pacific Blue, because this is the one that right when I got into collecting nail polish, this whole debacle happened, where if you're newer to the scene or aren't aware, Sally Hansen has this extreme wear line, which they had a color called Pacific Blue. It was this really pretty light, I almost call it like baby blue. You know, when you think of like the stereotypical baby colors of like boys are blue and girls are pink, blah, blah, blah. All that gender conforming crap. The boy color, it reminds me of this kind of blue. And it's just like a plain cream light baby blue. It's pretty, but when they reformulated it, they announced this reformulation, and they turned it into this deep, equally beautiful, but nowhere near the same realm of tone, like oceany blue. It's a very pretty blue, but they're not the same. So why wouldn't you just discontinue Pacific Blue and release this new color under a different name and number? It was a weird situation, but people freaked out like hard, and everybody was trying to get their hands on as many bottles as they could because they just wanted to, because they were like, oh my gosh, the blue is going to be gone. Not like this color isn't available from 10,000 other brands, but like I said, I had just gotten into nail polish. I was in college, and I remember getting like kind of sucked into the hype. I was like, well, I gotta get that. If it's gonna be discontinued and rare, like I have to get it. So Rob and I drove to like every single Walgreens and CVS and Meijer that was near our campus. Couldn't find it at all. So I never got my hands on the original Pacific Blue. I didn't buy the reformulated one either, because to be honest, Sally Hansen Extreme Wear is not my favorite line. So I was just like, whatever, it's fine. But when I checked on eBay, There were bottles of the OG going for, like the original formulation, that lighter blue, going from between $50 and $100. And there weren't that many. Just, same with the Clarins. There was like maybe one active listing, and the rest was, I was just looking at previous sales. And for the Pacific Blue, when I searched Pacific Blue, it pretty much was people selling the newer formulation for like $5 or $6 a bottle. But I did manage to find a couple of the original formulation, and they ranged in between like 50 and 100, which, paying $50 to $100 for a bottle of Sally Hansen, it's your choice, but that's insane. That's a lot of money for Sally Hansen. Next up, I have a couple of Essies, and Essie was the one that really got me into the concept of like, oh, like there's rare nail polish, because to me at the time, I was like, consumable goods are not something that is rare, right? Like I didn't think that it was like something that could gain value over time. But Starry Starry Night, the original Essie nail polish formulation, from what I was able to find, contained real diamond dust. And they sold that original formulation until they ran out of that diamond dust, and then they replaced it with glitter, and then that polish got discontinued. And then they brought it back in their Retro Revival collection. And that was another one where I was like, Rob, we have to go to Meijer right now. I have to get this. Because I wanted to know, like, oh, what's the hype? And I remember, because at the time I didn't really understand the concept of peel off base coats and how annoying it is to scrub glitter off of your nails. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to paint my toes with this. And it's got just a ton of silver glitter. It's this like jelly deep blue with silver glitter. And I painted my toes with it, and I was not good at painting my nails then. So it was really messy. Didn't have cleanup brush or anything like that. And I hated it. I hated the way it looked because it was very sheer. I didn't understand the concept of buildability and all of that stuff. I was, like I said, this was like week 3 of being into nail polish, right? And then when it came time to take it off, I wanted to die. And then I didn't wear it ever again. And it's still in my collection. I've had it for, probably like 10 years at this point. I'm like, you're a demon, but I can't get rid of you. But the original Starry Starry Night with the diamond dust in it, I was just fascinated with the concept of putting, you know, these rare jewels or rare stones or whatever you want to call it, putting that into something that you are going to remove and then just throw away. It's crazy to me. I feel the same way about like when people put gold flake on food. I'm just like, why? Like, why are we doing this? This is so weird. But I couldn't find any active listings for the original one. I could only find the Retro Revival, which those weren't selling for anything crazy. They were like pretty standard Essie prices. But I did find the original article, and it was from Allure. That's where I had found out more about this. And according to the Allure article, so this is like third-hand knowledge I'm passing on to you, but according to the Allure article, they stated that New York Times said that in, I think it was 2014, a bottle of the original Starry Starry Night with the diamond dust in it sold on eBay for $250. So, and you know what? The thing is, with the huge, massive surge in like lab diamonds and stuff like that, and how cheap that kind of stuff has become, I wonder if we'll see a resurgence of something like this again. Because like I said, like lab diamonds are so much more affordable than like mined diamonds, and in my opinion, more ethical. I mean, if I'm going to be, I was very controversial apparently in my last video, so I might as well just keep dropping controversial takes. But like the diamond industry is not very ethical. So like the lab diamonds where it's like no children are mining these, that's cool. I like that about that. There's just a tangent, but like this is a moissanite. This isn't even a diamond, but this is also lab grown. So I'm a huge proponent of lab grown stones because they're cheaper, and I just feel like, why pay a lot when you could pay a little? But yeah, so that was the OG. If I ever saw like the OG Starry Starry Night and it was not a crazy price, I would probably buy it just to have like as a collector's piece. but I'm not paying no $250. And then there was another Essie that I've seen a lot of people talk about, and it's Shine of the Times. And this is one that I never got. I think this was like one of their Luxe Effects. I had one of their Luxe Effects, but I never got this one. And when this one was discontinued, I think a lot of people really like held tight to their bottles. I couldn't find a ton of information about this one. I just know that it was discontinued and people were sad about it. And from what I could find on eBay, they were kind of selling in the mid $20 range, which, considering it's just like I think it's just like a flaky topper, it's really not anything too crazy. But I feel like once we get our minds kind of set on something, where we're like, I have to have this and I missed out on it, like, I get, like, you want to drop some good money on it. But this one, even though I've seen it kind of considered a rare nail polish, it's not as crazy in price as some of the others on this list. So let's hop on over to Chanel, which is already a higher end nail polish brand. But I remember when I first got into nail polish, there was one called Vamp that I would see a lot of people who they're like, I want to dupe this because it's been discontinued and I can't find one in a reasonable price range. And when I was making up my list, I decided to kind of look into that one. And on eBay, I found them, they were kind of going between like 25 and 30 bucks. So for a Chanel nail polish that I thought was considered rare, maybe it's just not. Maybe it was just one of those things that I made up in my head. But that didn't seem too crazy. However, one that I saw that was like on eBay and it was like going for around 30 bucks. It looked so coagulated and separated in the product shot. And I was just like, ugh, like, don't buy that. Don't buy it. You can find, they're like, these Vampy Reds are a dime a dozen nowadays. So we're very spoiled. So I wouldn't pay that. But in my looking for Vamp on eBay, I noticed there's a lot of the Chanel nail polishes that are going between, like, you know, $60, $70, $80 a bottle for these discontinued polishes. So it seems like there's kind of like a subset of nail polish collectors who are really into the Chanel nail polish. And I actually have one that is rarer, and this one was a gift. And I couldn't find many of these on like listings. I know that this was like a limited edition one, and Rob got this, it was either my birthday or our anniversary. They're very close together, so I can't remember, but it came in a 2-piece set, and this one is holographic. It's literally just called holographic. And then it has a fixing base. A lot of these like thin holographics a long time ago, back in the day, they used to come with these like, or you would need these types of base coats or else they wouldn't apply properly. They wouldn't stick down to the nail the right way. And there's a gnat in here. Every year in the spring, no matter what I do, like this area just has gnats. It's like kind of swampy. I don't know. But they drive me crazy and they always try to fly into my eyeball and it makes me mad. But yeah, so Rob did some research into rare nail polishes to get me like this as a surprise. And I had actually never heard of this one. And then, yeah, I Googled it and I was like, I cannot believe you paid that much for a nail polish, and don't ever do that again. But these go for, I think, around 200-ish on eBay. And I've seen them, it just every so often I'll look them up on eBay, and I've seen them go as high as like 250 to 300 range. But it is a beautiful holographic polish, and I do love it, but I would not pay $200 for even one nail polish. You could be like, this nail polish will save your life if you buy it, and I still wouldn't pay $200 for that nail. I'd be like, I'll just die. It's fine. I don't need that. So if you have any like insight into like the Chanel nail polish collecting world, let me know down below, because it seems like there is kind of like a subset of polish collectors who really focus on the Chanel side of things. The next one I have on my list is a China glaze, and this is Zombie Zest. And this is one that I remember hearing. Her name was Miss Holly Berries here on YouTube. I believe she was a lawyer, but she would also do nail content. And I watched her a ton, and I don't think she doesn't post anymore as far as I know, but she always talked about Zombie Zest. She really loved this polish and it made me want it so bad, even pre like green loving Hillary days. And I knew it was discontinued, so I was like, oh, I'm never gonna get this. And then one day I bought somebody's entire collection and this was in there and I was like, oh, I'm never letting that go. And this one is one that I think a lot of people would love to see brought back from China Glaze. And I wish that they would just do it so that I could buy like 9 more bottles, because I feel like I can only wear this once a year because I don't want to use it up, because it's just, just a beautiful green with a blue green like shimmery flakes in there. It's just, also Zombie Zest, like what a gross name when you think about it. Like I'm thinking about, you know, when you zest a lemon but it's a zombie, like that's what I think of. And I checked eBay and the prices for current listings and sold listings seems to range between $30 and $50. And this is, when was this released? I think it was like the early aughts, you know, like 2010 or before that, when this was released. So, you know, it's been a while. So bottles are probably few and far between of what's left. So prices are only gonna go up unless China Glaze, if you could please just re-release the polish. Asking for a friend. It would be nice, because as much as I respect what everybody does with their money, and I've paid dumb prices for dumb things, I just hate seeing people get like price gouged on a little bottle of paint. You know, it's like, this is half an ounce of paint and people are paying $30 to $50. It's crazy. And yet I also do that. So I'm sure there are other rare China Glazes out there. So if you know of any, let me know down below. But then I want to move on to the only indie that I put on my list, because the indie market moves so much faster. There's so many more limited editions. And so it's hard to keep track of what is considered rare or anything like that. But when I think of like indie rares, the one that pops into my head every single time is BKL, Bees Knees Lacquer's Lion with a Thorn in Its Paw. That was, I believe, a polish pickup polish that it just lasted out of control. Maybe it wasn't polish pickup, who knows? I think it was though. And it's just like, people got hooked. And when I first saw it, I was like, I don't get it. And then like 6 months later, I was like, okay, I don't get it, but I still really want it for some reason, because the hype is just getting to me. And every time I've seen a listing, and I even went onto one of the D-Stash groups that I'm a part of, and I searched the name of it in the D-Stash group to like look at some of the previous sales of it. And it would sell anywhere on average between $50 to $100 for this polish. And BKL has released, you know, siblings, they call them, where it's the same finish, just different colors. And there are people who, you know, they collect them all, and I look at them and I'm like, they are pretty, but I just don't get why people are paying $50 to $100 for it. And yet I am willing to pay, $50 to $100 for it, because the hype surrounding it has just sucked me in so hard. Like, I'm like, why do I want this? I don't need it. And yet every time a listing comes up, I'm like, should I? I don't know. I have not bought it yet though. So, but that is one that is like rare because it was limited edition, and if it was polish pickup, like I believe it was, they can't reproduce it for like mass production, because the way polish pickup works is that polish that you make is only for polish pickup. You cannot sell it as a listing on your website unless it's a mystery polish. So it's one of those where it's like nigh impossible that we're ever going to see that specific iteration of it ever made again. The last one I have on my list before I get into a couple of honorable mentions is, this is called Max Factor, and this is Fantasy Fire. And this one's gonna blow your gosh darn mind if you don't know about this. So this one is one that I got in that giant D-stash where like the person sold their whole collection. And when I was going through my collection on camera with you guys and D-stashing and stuff, I had shown this and somebody in my comments was like, hey, that's actually a pretty rare nail polish. And I was like, what? Because when I got it, I was like, oh, what a stupid little mini. Like, who cares? I didn't think anything of it. But this polish is, how big is this? I don't even know. It doesn't say the ounceage or like the milliliters or anything, but it is so small. It's a mini, like mini size. And this polish, though, I found on eBay for a current listing, it is listed at $125 for this. Like, this is my giant man hand, and this is the polish. Like, here's the China glaze next to it. Like, $125. Now, it didn't look like anybody had bid on it, but it did say that there were 12 people watching it. So, what? Like, I was like, oh, as soon as I got that comment, I did a little bit more research, and, you know, I found out mine was the rarer version of it, and I was like, okay, well, I can't get rid of that, and I've still never used it. But it does look pretty in the bottle. It's got like a really nice, I don't know, it looks like reddish, but then in like a little bit indirect lighting, it has this like blue, green, purple kind of halo around it. So maybe I should try it out, because $125? What? That's crazy. Crazy stuff. So that's the last of the rare polishes that I like firmly know about. There were a couple in my research when I was trying to, like, I'd written a list of everything that I was like, I know these to be true, to be factual, and then I was just kind of Googling rare nail polishes. And that's how you do research. You're just like, rare nail polish. And there were a couple of Reddit threads that I saw on OPI's My Private Jet, the original, because apparently OPI has released like several iterations of this. I couldn't find pricing for the OG formulation, but it was pretty. It's like a holographic brown, and I'm sure there are other OPIs that are kind of rarer and highly sought after. So I'm sure there's a lot of OPIs out there because they release collections like clockwork, and they're always massive. So let me know down below if there's any like rare OPIs that you guys know about. And then I kind of go back and forth on this one, but I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's like NFUO. And they're these crazy bottles that like they have, it's like a woman in a bodice. It's like her like chest area, and that's like the cap. And then the bottle is a dress. And I don't think these go for like crazy money, but I did see a lot of people who were like in search of and like trading for in some of the nail groups for specific bottles of these. And I did get 3 of these in my or in like that big D stash. So I do have 3 bottles of this polish, but I don't know much about it. So if you guys know anything about the NFUO stuff, and if it is considered rare or highly sought after, just let me know. I'd be interested to hear about that. And then this last one, it's not, I wouldn't consider this rare or like highly sought after. But when I was like searching for rare nail polishes, there was like an article that was like the most expensive nail polish ever. And naturally I had to click on that, and I needed to know. And I just wanted to share this with you guys because it's crazy. And this is from a brand called Selfridge London. I'm not really familiar with them. And the polish is called Azature, or I've never seen this word in my life. I'm going to put it on the screen. Azature 267 karat black diamond. And this polish, to me, doesn't look like anything all that special. But the original price was listed in pounds because it's a British brand. But they converted it to US dollar, which that would be 264,165 USD for one bottle of this. And the reasoning for that is it says it's got like 267 carats worth of black diamonds in the polish, I believe. Plus the cap is platinum sterling, it said. And I don't know what platinum sterling is. I only know what platinum is. I don't know. I don't know anything about precious metals. I'm just here. And then the cap had 60 black diamonds on it as well. And I'm just like, is this like a money laundering thing? Like, what's going on? That's crazy. That's a crazy polish. So if you have this polish, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know about it. Because that's just, like, you better get like a little suitcase when you buy it. Like, could you imagine if you bought a $267,000 polish? Or 264, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to add $3,000 to that incredibly modest purchase price. But could you imagine if you bought a $260,000 nail polish and then it came in like a cardboard unit carton? like it came in like, you know, stuff like this on my shelves back here. No, like it's got to come in something really fancy, right? Like I would hope. That would be insane. You're like, well, do I throw this box away? I don't know. I just paid my entire life savings for this. Yeah, right. I got like $12. Don't even worry about it. So yeah, that was my list of rare nail polishes that I know about. Like I said, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of these details. A lot of this was pulled from my own brain, from things that I just remember in my time in the nail polish space. And then let me know of any other rare nail polishes that you know about, why they're rare or what their backstory is. I find whenever it comes to like hobbies, I always find like that kind of stuff really interesting. Like what are the rare or unique or interesting pieces for certain collectors and why are they so sought after? So please share with me down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next Saturday for something else that I haven't planned. I haven't been planning ahead very well lately, so that's gonna be it for me. I'll see you guys later. Bye.